This is the third episode in a 5-part series titled How a Biased Slavery Narrative Was Weaponized Against Western Civilization. In this series, we examine how history has been edited, not to reveal truth, but to serve ideology. Episode 3, The Guilt Trap: Why Collective Blame is a Moral Fallacy. The dominant narrative in Western societies today is not just that slavery happened, but that people alive today are somehow morally responsible for it. Not only must we remember slavery, we must feel guilty for it. And this guilt, we are told, must shape everything from our education, to our politics, to our sense of identity. But this concept, inherited guilt, is morally and philosophically indefensible. Pascal Bruckner, in his book, The Tyranny of Guilt, warns that Western societies have fallen into a kind of neurotic self-flagellation in which all achievements are seen as tainted and all progress as built on sin. He writes, "In the eyes of many intellectuals, the West is the sick man of the planet, permanently indicted by its own past." This idea that guilt can be passed down across generations is foreign to most legal and ethical traditions. We do not hold the children of murderers responsible for their father's crimes. We do not blame the grandson of a tyrant for the suffering of his grandfather's victims. Yet somehow, when it comes to slavery and colonialism, ancestral guilt is treated as moral truth. This is not justice. It is collective moral scapegoating. And worse, it is being applied selectively. No one demands that Arabs apologize for the millions of black Africans they enslaved for centuries. No one asks modern Mongolians to atone for Genghis Khan. But white Europeans, especially men, are expected to bear a unique hereditary moral burden. This is historically incoherent. Slavery, as we've already explored, was a global practice. Every continent participated in it. Every empire enriched itself through conquest. The West, for all its crimes, was the only civilization to abolish slavery as a matter of principle. And yet, it is now the only one being systematically shamed for it. This guilt narrative doesn't emerge from history. It emerges from ideology. As Shelby Steele writes in White Guilt, how blacks and whites together destroyed the promise of the civil rights era. White guilt is not actual guilt. It is the terror of being seen as racist, which causes people to act in ways that are more about protecting their reputation than confronting truth. He argues that white guilt leads to performative acts of virtue, empty gestures designed to absolve shame without addressing root problems. This guilt complex has devastating consequences. It undermines merit, reason, and truth. It encourages resentment over responsibility and entitlement over effort. And it fosters a political culture where moral standing is not earned through action, but granted through victimhood. The philosopher Roger Scruton put it bluntly, "Guilt is only valuable when it leads to repentance and personal transformation." Inherited guilt, by contrast, is a form of collective tyranny. The modern obsession with guilt also betrays a deep misunderstanding of history. Most white people alive today, especially in Europe, are descended not from slaveholders, but from serfs, peasants, and working-class laborers who themselves lived in oppression. The Irish, Poles, Greeks, and Slavs all suffered under foreign empires and brutal feudal systems. How many descendants of Irish indentured servants, or Russian serfs, or starving Sicilian farmers are now being told to apologize for a system they never benefited from? How many modern immigrants, who came to Europe generations after slavery was abolished, are now told that they inherit guilt simply for being white? This is not a historical reckoning. It is moral gaslighting. True morality demands that we judge people by their actions, not their ancestry. And true justice requires that we distinguish between the past and the present. To attribute guilt across generations is not only unjust, it is deeply corrosive. It destroys the possibility of shared citizenship, of common culture, and of mutual respect. It divides people into permanent roles, the ashamed and the aggrieved, and it locks society in an endless cycle of recrimination. If we accept this framework, then the goal is no longer reconciliation. It is perpetual guilt. And perpetual guilt leads not to healing, but to cultural suicide. Instead of collective blame, we must return to individual responsibility. We must teach history in all its complexity, not to shame, but to understand. We must recognize past injustices without turning them into tools of modern oppression. The West's legacy is not perfect, but it is also the only civilization to build the concepts of universal human rights, constitutional law, secular ethics, and moral introspection. It is the West that abolished slavery, pioneered the rule of law, and developed the very tools we use to criticize it today. If anything, our inheritance is not guilt, but the framework to overcome injustice. If you found this video valuable, please take a moment to like it and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people and keep producing thoughtful, well-researched content like this. This series takes a great deal of time, effort, and investment, especially in sourcing and studying serious historical works. If you'd like to support our work, you can make a donation through our Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Every contribution helps us keep going. And if you're interested in reading the sources yourself, you'll find affiliate links to the books we cited in this episode. Purchasing through those links also helps support this project. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.